You know, we spend a ton of time and energy learning technical skills, coding, finance, engineering, you name it. But what if one of the single most valuable skills for your career and for your bank account is something we usually brush off as a soft skill? Well, today we're talking about emotional awareness.
All right, so let's just cut right to the chase here. In a world that's all about data and hard results, is it really worth investing time and money into something that feels, well, kind of intangible, like emotional skills? The answer, it turns out, is incredibly concrete. A huge cost-benefit analysis found that for every single dollar you invest in social-emotional training, you get a return of at least $11. That's an 1,100% ROI. I mean, just think about that for a second. A return on investment like that is almost unheard of anywhere else. It absolutely deserves a closer look. So here's the game plan. We're going to start with that ROI. Then we'll define what emotional competence actually is. We'll look at how you can train these skills as an adult, how we can teach them to our kids, and finally, why this is truly a fundamental life skill. Okay, first up, let's unpack that incredible return on investment. How in the world does being more aware of emotions actually translate into real-world value, the kind that impacts your career and, yes, your wallet? Well, the benefits are just incredibly broad. We're not just talking about feeling a little bit better at work. Higher emotional competence is directly tied to better job performance, and that leads to promotions and better pay. It makes for better leaders and way better teamwork. And think about it, right? Better teamwork means fewer pointless conflicts, you solve problems faster, you get more innovation, and all of that directly hits a company's bottom line. But what's really wild is that this starts way earlier. In schools, these exact same skills can boost a student's academic scores by an average of 13 percentile points. That's huge. So, if these skills are so valuable, what are we actually talking about? What does it even mean to be emotionally competent? The official term you'll hear is social emotional learning, or SEL for short. The best way to think about it is like it's the operating system for being human. It's the whole process of developing the toolkit you need to navigate your own inner world and all of your relationships with other people. It's the stuff you need to succeed, not just at work, but everywhere. And this breaks down into 5 core pillars, as defined by CASEL, which is the leading organization in this field. It all starts with you, just recognizing your own emotions. Then, it's about managing those emotions and your reactions. From there, it expands outward to other people, understanding where they're coming from, showing empathy. That leads to building better, healthier relationships. And all of that comes together to help you make better, more constructive choices in your life. Now, this all sounds great, but it does bring up a really big question. Are you just kind of born with the stuff or not? Can you actually train these skills, especially once you're already an adult out in the working world? Well, the science on this is crystal clear. A massive meta-analysis from 2024, which looked at tons of studies, came back with a resounding yes. Workplace training absolutely works. And it doesn't matter what your job is. Doctor, software engineer, salesperson, manager, these skills are trainable for everyone. So how do you actually do it? Well, it's not about just reading a book or watching a video. The methods that really move the needle are active, not passive. Of course, you have to understand the concepts, but the real growth happens when you practice. We're talking role-playing a tough conversation, having real group discussions about workplace challenges, and getting direct personal feedback. Just like any other skill, you get better by actually doing it. And this leads to a really powerful idea. If we know adults can learn these skills, just imagine the head start we could give kids by teaching them this stuff from a young age. So what does that look like in a classroom? For kids, it's not about formal lectures, right? You're not going to sit a 5-year-old down for a PowerPoint on empathy. It's about creating situations where they can practice these skills naturally. Things like cooperative games, group projects, and guided classroom discussions, they create this perfect, safe little lab for kids to learn how to communicate, manage frustration, and actually work together. And this really represents a huge shift in how we think about education. The old school model is often just about finding the one correct answer. The SEL approach, on the other hand, is much more interested in the process. How did you think about the problem? How did you work with your team? And what did you learn when you made a mistake? It's about building thinkers and collaborators, not just answer finders. The best programs really weave this into the fabric of the school day. They actually teach skills like empathy directly. They use stories and role-playing to make emotions easier to understand. And they don't just stick this in one feelings class. They integrate it into math and science and history. It's not a subject. It becomes the culture of the school.
All right, let's zoom all the way out. What's the big picture here? What's the ultimate takeaway from all this?
The conclusion is pretty hard to escape. These aren't soft skills. They're fundamental life skills. They are one of the primary drivers of success, all the way from the grades a kid gets in elementary school to how effective a CEO is in the boardroom. They are foundational to a successful and, just as importantly, a fulfilling life.
So that leaves us with one final thought. A question for all of us, really. The evidence is overwhelming, from better grades to that massive financial return. So knowing all of this, how are we really prioritizing these skills? How much are we truly investing in emotional competence? For our kids, for our teams, and for ourselves?